In this video, I'm going to use my Cricut Explore to create a card, and I'm going to use the Explorer's draw feature to write my sentiment on the inside of the card. Now, in order to make my cupcake card, the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and grab my cupcake image, and I am in Design Space and I am logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the Insert Images button here. And I've already searched for the image that I want to use. So to do that, I clicked on my images so that I only see the images that I am able to cut. And I typed in birthday cake. And this is the cupcake that I want to use here. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I know that it's selected because I can see the little preview of it down here. And I'm going to click Insert Images. So here's my cupcake, and I'm not super concerned about the size of this card, but I want it to be roughly 5 or so inches tall. So that looks to be about 5 1/4, so that's a good size. So you can see here on the layers panel, these are all the layers that make up my cupcake, and by default this bottom layer, this is the shadow layer, and that's not visible. But that's what I'm going to actually use to create my card. So I'm going to go ahead and click the eyeball, which will make the layer visible. So you can see now that this black line has appeared around my cupcake. And right now all of these layers are grouped together, but I want to work with just this layer here right now. So I'm going to click the Ungroup button, which separates them, and I can go ahead and click just this shadow layer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and pull it off to the side so I can create my card. In order to make a card, what I need is I need a front and a back piece, and they have to be facing the opposite direction. So I'm going to use this piece as my back. So I need to duplicate it. So I'm going to go ahead and click the copy button, and then I'm going to click paste, and you can see now that I have two cupcakes. So I'm going to go ahead, put them side by side, and right now they're facing the same direction, but this one is going to be the front of my card, so I want to go ahead and flip that. So I'm going to click the edit panel, and you can see here I'm going to click the horizontal mirror button, so now they're facing the opposite direction. And in order to make them a card, I need to line them up. So what I want to do is I want to make sure for this left cupcake, the y-axis value is 0.97. I want to make sure that this one is the same, and it is not. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 0.97. So they're now aligned, and the fold of my card is going to be just this tiny little area right here. So I want to make sure that my two cupcake pieces are overlapping each other. And in order to turn these two shapes into a card, I'm going to drag a box so I can select both images. And I'm going to go over to the layers panel, and I'm going to click this weld button. So right now I have one cupcake here and another cupcake here. Once I click the weld button, you can see that they're now combined into a single layer, and that this image here has changed so it looks like my welded card image here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to print happy birthday to you on the inside of my card. Oh, I shouldn't say print. I want the Explorer to draw those words with the pen when I go and cut my images out. So let's go ahead and change the color of this just so it's a little easier to see. And I'm going to click the Add Text button. So that brings up this text box. And I'm just going to go ahead and type happy birthday to you. And I think I want it to be on one line, so, or on two lines rather. So let's change that. And I also want it centered in the text box. So I'm going to go back to the edit panel, and I'm going to click the center button here. So you can see now that my text is centered in the text box. If I wanted to change the font, I could just pick something else from the drop down box, but I think it's a nice looking narrow font, so I think I'm going to stick with this one. So I'm going to drag this over to my cupcake. So to resize my text, I can either change the point size here on the edit panel, or I can just click and drag a corner of the text box. That looks like a pretty good size. One thing I'm noticing though is the bottom edge of my cupcake is slanted a little bit, so my text doesn't look like it's lined up correctly on the card. So I can either adjust the angle of my card, or I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the text box so that the bottom edge of the cupcake is at the same angle as my text box. So that looks pretty good. So now you can see that my text looks like it's aligned correctly on the card. Okay, so the other thing that I need to do is, right now this is my text layer and you can see that it's set to cut, but what I want it to do is I want the Explorer to write with the pen. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change it from cut to write, and I'll just pick copper just because it's easier to see on the screen. The color that ultimately matters though is the marker that you put into the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and close this box. So now you can see that my text layer is in fact set to write. One thing you'll notice though, that if I click the go button right now, these are all the layers for my cupcake. This is my card, but my text is on the wrong mat. I need this layer and this layer to be combined so that they cut and draw at the same time. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to my mat, and what I need to do is I need to select my card base and the text together, so you can see that they're both highlighted now, and I'm going to click the attach button. But before you click the attach button, make sure that your design is ready to go, because as far as I know, there is no way to unattach items. So you want to make sure that your text is set to draw and your card base is set to cut, and I can see that those are in fact true. So I'm going to go ahead and click the attach button. So right now it looks like that didn't make any difference at all, but if I go ahead and click the go button again, I can see that I still have my cupcake layers, and if I go to this mat with my card base, I can now see that my text is in the correct position to draw on top of my card base. So right now I can go ahead and click go, and it will cut my project out. So let's go ahead and put this together, and I'll show you what my completed card looks like. This is what my finished card looks like, and you can see, I mean, I am so pleased with the way the Explorer cuts. Like, his little mouth is cut perfectly. These little pieces for the frosting up here, the points don't get smushed at all, and they're really crisp cut. So I've been very pleased with everything that I've cut on the Explorer so far. The inside of my card looks like this. I ended up changing the font again, and the pen that I used to write was this American Craft Slick Writer, and the point on this pen is pretty fine, but that's what it looked like using this pen instead of one of the Cricut markers. But this is a really easy way to put a card together, and then I don't have to do any additional stamping or printing to get my sentiment on the inside of the card. So to put it together, all I did was put my cupcake on the front. I used some foam adhesive for the frosting and for this little flame piece up here. But I think it turned out pretty cute. So I hope you enjoyed this Explore project, and thanks for watching my video. I hope you all have a great day. Bye!